McCower here in Studio C with Phil Radford from Greenpeace. Phil, you're just, as we're speaking, on the verge of ending a little over a decade at the helm of Greenpeace USA. As you look back over that decade, what's the change you've seen in how businesses think about sustainability?
There's a lot more focus from businesses on traceability in their supply chain and a lot more rigor that we've seen. I think we've also seen a lot more ambition from companies that have been pushed. So right when I was starting as the director of Greenpeace, we were wrapping up a 4-year campaign to push Kimberly-Clark to change. And Kimberly-Clark would say things to us like, there's not enough recycled content in the world for us to meet your demands, and there's not enough certified fiber for us to do this. And we would say, that's great. Why don't you create the market? We'll talk about a timeline. And they did. And now we're seeing more and more companies do those really, really world-changing types of changes that change markets and change the way things happen. We're even seeing it with tuna now, that some of the fishing fleets are fishing differently because big retailers are demanding big changes in the world.
So part of this is finding where do we want to get to and how do we get to that point and how long will it take, and then working together with companies so it's not simply expecting them to flip a switch and make change happen instantly.
Right. And I think in general, if environmental groups can get companies to change instantly, they haven't asked for enough. We haven't asked for a principled enough solution, something that lines up with the science of what the environment needs enough. And so we'll have to acknowledge that that will take time, but also be principled enough to demand what science and what the environment demands of us.
I would imagine that finding that sweet spot of what's achievable and yet sort of a big, hairy, audacious goal, but not so far that it's just impossible, is part art and part science. How does Greenpeace go about thinking about that?
Well, you try to figure it out, and then you ask for a little bit more, and then you end up negotiating. But what you never want to do is ask for too little.
So what would be too little, do you think? Give me an example.
Well, I think what would be too little is allowing any of the tropical rainforests that are the most important in the world for biodiversity or most important for storing carbon to be cut down, any time past the next few years.
Yeah.
That would be way too little.
So as you get ready to step away from Greenpeace and look ahead to the future of business NGO engagement, what do you want to see happen?
Two things. One is how NGOs work together. I think in particular the NGOs that partner or look for win-win can't win enough without a Greenpeace, a stick outside, to make sure that the partnering NGOs have more of a carrot that matters, right? I actually think there's an opportunity cost for the environment and for progress if NGOs only partner and don't partner with another NGO that can get the companies to do more in partnership. So that's number one. Number two is I think NGOs will increasingly expect companies to partner to pass good laws. It's not enough anymore for a company to do something good on their own. And in fact, at times, if they're doing good enough things, it might be a competitive disadvantage. So what we'll need to see from companies moving forward is once they take a principled stance, that they then join with NGOs to push for laws to level the playing field and protect our environment.
So think big and make sure the policy framework is right.
Absolutely.
Great. Thanks so much, Phil, and good luck going forward.
Thanks, Joel.